What's good everyone, it's Adam from Mo. Welcome to a brand new video. Today I'm going to show you how to thicken up your kicks like they did in the 90s and 2000s. If you're into making that type of music, this video is for you. If you're into making like R&B type of music where you don't really want a sub but you just want the kick to be nice and full and fat, this tutorial is for you, so let's get to it. Right here I got a beat. Let's go and just play it out. Focus on the kick because that's what we're going to work on over here. So on this kick, you can hear that it's not too full sounding on the lower end. So in Logic, I'm going to go ahead and bring in a stock plugin called Fat Effects. Now we don't really need to focus on much here. We can take out this, we can take out the distortion, we can take out the compressor. I'm just going to bring my output up to 0. We're just going to focus in on the bass enhancer module right here. There are a couple different types of bass enhancement algorithms here, and we'll go through the two that I like warm or classic. So this is what it sounds like with the bass enhancer module on the kick. This is on the warm module. I'll turn up 100%. So it's definitely doing what it says it's doing. It's adding in some warmth to that kick, making it a little bit fuller, maybe a little bit darker, not as pointy, but definitely warmer. And it's not exactly the sound that I want on this kick. So if we go ahead and change the type over to classic, it's giving me that low thump that I actually want in this like 90s, 2000s R&B-ish type of sound. Right? It's really fattening out that kick. Now the problem is you want to tune the sound over here to match the key of your track. So in Logic, it only shows you the hertz value. It doesn't actually show you notes, which I wish it did, but we can find out what the note value equivalent is. So what I like to do is head on over to Google and just search what that frequency is. So I'm going to go ahead and search what the frequency of G is because that will match my song here. So I'm going to go to frequency of G. As you can tell from my search history, I like to look up this quite a bit. So I'm going to go over to frequency of musical notes. It's usually the first page that loads up. That's the one I use. So for your tuning, it already becomes default. Just make sure that your tuning is set to 440 because that's sort of the standard. And I'm going to go over to the note that I want to set at, which is G. So the first one is 49 hertz. That may be a little low. I'm going to go to G2 and type in 98 hertz. So if we go back to Logic, I'm going to go into my tune over here and type in 98. And now this is going to be tuned to my track. So the subtone that it's adding to this kick is going to be tuned properly to the key of my record. So if I play that in context with the rest of the tracks, it's going to match. Now, it may sound fuller and thicker because you are adding some volume as well. So if you did want to gain stage at this point and bring it down, you can. Now, that is a quick way to add in some thump, but it's not quite giving me that subtone that I want for this genre of music. So the second thing I usually like to do to get that sort of subtone underneath the kick is this right here. So I'm going to go over to my kick track. I'm going to go over to my bus tracks over here. I'm just going to select an open bus track. Let's go to bus 15. I'm going to send signal out by holding Option, clicking this right over here. And then on this auxiliary track on bus 15 over here, we are going to bring in some effects. So the first thing I'm going to bring in is a noise gate. Go to Dynamics Noise Gate. And that is because we're going to bring in a noise generator. And if we bring in the noise generator first, it's going to be really loud, piercing sound. This will make sure that it's not playing anything unless the kick is playing. So on our sidechain over here, very important, we got to set it to our kick so that it controls when the sound will be played. So we're going to go over to Instrument and go to the kick that we're using, the 2022 Kick Sizzle right over here. And then before this noise gate, we're going to go ahead and go to Utility. And it's going off my screen here, but it is called Test Oscillator. So now every time the kick hits, this sine wave over here in the test oscillator will play back at the same time. And the shape of that oscillator is determined by our gate shape over here. So you can really shape that to what you like. We can go ahead and change the generator if we like, but typically it's a sine wave. All right, you get the idea. So let's go back to our sine wave. I'm going to go ahead and type in that frequency that we figured out that G was in. So it's at 98 Hertz. Now it's in tune with our track. All right, so now it's sounding a little bit fuller and it's giving us that subtone that we want underneath our kick for this genre of music. Now, this may be a little bit high. We want to go ahead and bring it down 1 full octave. So all we got to do is divide this by 2. So that's going to be 49 Hertz. If we go back to that frequency page, we can go to our G over here, 49 Hertz, works out divided by 2 to bring it an octave lower. So I'm going to go ahead and bring this up a little bit so we hear it a little bit more. So that's with the fat effects and the subtone on. I'm going to go ahead and bypass this fat effects over here. So we just have the subtone there. Right, it's just a subtone hitting every time that kick hits, and that's really what we want in this genre of music. Once again, you can go ahead and shape that, and don't be afraid to mix the fat effects sort of subtone with that sub that we added here on the bus, just because it could give your kick a lot fuller, a bigger, fuller sound. So I'm just going to bring this back down. We don't need to be 100%. So over here, we're getting some harmonics because now we're boosting at 98 Hertz, which is an octave higher than our sub. So it could kind of work nicely. Once again, this is making your kick louder, so you can go ahead and gain stage if you like. If we go ahead and do a quick bypass test over here, I'm going to take off the fat effects and the sub. This is what our kick sounded like before. With the sub. Now with the fat effects. Just a big difference over there on the kick. So if you're looking for ways to thicken out that kick in your 90s, 2000s, R&B, hip hop type of beats, this is how you do it. If you do have any questions on this, we can go and chat in the comment section below. If you did like this video or learn something new, remember to drop a like. It does help out the channel. Thanks so much for watching. Thanks for enjoying this video, and we'll catch you on the next one. Later. Peace.